Comgrow laser cover. Got one right here in a box. Obviously it's one of the soft-sided ones that you put together. And of course it's designed to fit the Comgrow Laser Z1. However, I do have one. However, it's not here. I'm using it to make some items remotely at another craft shop. So we're going to put this together, and it's not just for the Comgrow laser. I'm sure it'll fit other models. And we'll try, maybe I'll take my longer Ray 5, see if it fits in it. But first we got to put this together. Coming up. Hi, I'm Roger, welcome to the shop, and this laser cover was provided to me by Comgrow to review, demonstrate, play with, set it on fire, do whatever I want to do with it. One of the things I'm going to be doing with it is taking a torch to it. Propane torch, that is, not an acetylene torch, because they say it's fireproof. So we're going to find out. But I know it needs some assembly. I'm going to open this thing up, get it out of the box. We'll put it together. We'll see what fits in it. My Comgrow laser isn't here right now, as I mentioned before, but I do have some other lasers I can try out in it. Normally I do not use enclosures. I work with them in open air. I am always by my lasers when they are operating, and the one that's remote right now is being watched by someone else. I do not leave them unattended because you never know what could happen. So I'll get this out of the box, get the parts laid out, and we'll see what we got here. Okay, so what's in the box? You get a USB LED light bar that you will need to provide your own USB power supply to, and I haven't opened it yet, but let's take a look at it here quick. See how long the cable is on it. And it's looks to be about 6 foot. Got a little Velcro tie thing there to tie it up with. We'll mess with that later when we get kind of things set up. Comes with a fume chute here with hardware. It's in the bag. Comes with a pair of gloves that must have been made for a child, because they certainly aren't going to fit me. I'll probably give them to the wife. There is an instruction sheet here. It's pretty brief. This looks like it's going to be pretty straightforward, kind of like having an erection set. Or was that erector set? Maybe it's erector set. Better leave it at that. It's family-oriented video here, so we got the tubes, we got the corners, and then of course we have the cover. So the first thing we need to do, put all this together. So does this look like it's going to be fun or what? It's not as bad as it looks. The tubes do have stickers on them. At least most of them do. This particular one doesn't. But they tell you what the different parts are. And it's going to be kind of self-explanatory as you go through the little assembly sheet here. So we'll get started with connect L and W tubes to extension tubes and put the three-way joints on as shown. So I got to find L and W. This is L right here. This is W. So we're on a roll here. We got some parts lined up. I'll take off the regulation rubber bands, put my W's over here. Hopefully they won't roll off the table. Put my L's over here. Got my little brackets here. And I'll get you in closer to show what I'm doing. Okay, we got the parts L, we got the parts W. And it says to assemble them to the extension tubes, which I'm assuming are these with the tapered ends on them. Seems reasonable. And then they go on these plastic fittings. And of course you'll need to do this twice because you've got a top and a bottom. So that would be the L's right there for the bottom. Now we'll do the W's. This may be getting too big for the camera here. Flip this around, we'll do the other end. So here we have our first part. Now I need to duplicate this because the other part will be the top. So I'll set that off to the side up there. We'll do what they call a lather, rinse, repeat. Okay, since I got this one right here, we're going to call this the bottom. These other pieces in here, just squared up on the table. Now we need to put in the risers. That's part B. The 4 remaining pipes here are the risers. We have a part H here, which I assume, well, they don't specify, that these go on top of those. Now these parts here are going to be the bars that go across. Let me get my top here. These here are the top braces. They just slip together. That one's dented too. There, we got it. Get those there. Then they will snap on the top. I'm going to have to figure out my spacing there once I get the cover on, but you kind of get the idea. So we'll just pop these in a couple different spots for now. So the next part would be the cover, but before I set the cover on, I think I need to set a laser in here to see what'll fit. So I'm going to go grab my, I'll go grab the longer Ray 5 because that's handy. I'll get that and I'll set that inside here. So as you can see, the longer fits in here just fine. It's on a baseboard too, which makes it even bigger. But I mean, it fits in here just fine. This is what they call the size M. So next I'll get that cover unwrapped and we'll put the cover over it. Okay, the cover has Velcro ties to tie it down. So we'll get this over the top of the frame here. Of course, it's been folded up, so it's a little wrinkled. Okay, this is a very tight fit. So you're going to have to do a little stretch in here. And don't try to put one side all the way down and then get the other side on because you'll never get it. You got to put this on kind of evenly, work your way around. Okay, I'm going to turn this 90 degrees so you can see it better. So here's what it looks like after you get it stretched around the frame. Like I say, it's a little tight, which is a good thing. You're just going to have to work at it to get it tightened up or get it stretched over where you need it to be. There are some openings here for cables and such, like power cords and USB cables. This particular laser has air assist on it, so I'll be running the air assist hose just probably out the bottom and the back. So on the bottom of this frame, we'll get this frame picked up. There are little Velcro guys here, which you probably can't see. Okay, on the bottom here is little Velcro strips. You can wrap them around the pole there and lock them in. You got that on all 4 sides. Okay, we'll get this back down on the laser. Got my air hose back there. I don't want to have it trapped. Cable. So this here unzips. Yeah, I need to get my support pole straightened out a little better in there. There are also Velcro guys at the top to tie in and on the sides, on the corners. I know you can't see that where you're at, but I'm going to latch them in here. It's right there. Wrap that around the pole. That holds the front good and snug. There's some Velcro down here, but I'm not sure what it's for. I suppose if you put one of these poles down there, we'll leave this support up here. I don't think I need another support down there. But as you can see, you've got easy access to everything inside there. If you have very easy access to everything inside you need to do, And you can just close your cover up while the laser's running. There are two zippers. I'm just using one to go all the way around. And you'll be able to see inside. And I don't know how well, but we'll try that out here in a minute. Okay, there are ports on the side for an exhaust. And that's where that chute would go. So I'm going to grab that and we'll get that bolted on there. And the chute here is a plug. So you can take that plug on and off as you need. If you want to have the exhaust port open, or if you're not going to use it, you push that back in and close it up. These sides are also, you can close up with Velcro. Obviously, to be able to connect an exhaust hose, you're going to have this side out. There is a flange that'll go on the outside, and it's covered with some protective paper that you can peel off, which sometimes can be a challenge and sometimes it's easy, like so. And like I said, sometimes it's easy and sometimes it's not. Whether or not you want to peel it off is up to you, but on the side that's going to be out, I'm going to peel it off. So this side will be out. Little bag of hardware here with some Phillips screws and nuts. Okay, here's where we have a dexterity test, and this would probably be easier if I did it up on its side, but put the flange on the outside here. I'll have to line my bolts up. I'm going to put the screw heads on the outside. Got it lined up through the fabric. I need to find the matching hole on the inside. No, you can't see what I'm doing here. I'm putting the nut on the inside here. This is pretty straightforward. It just requires a little bit of dexterity. Okay, also in the package are these two little short bars. There's some plastic caps. Should you not want to have this full bar in the front, you can install these short ones in the corners and leave this front part open. I don't need it that way, so I'm not going to be using these, but that's an option. I do have my exhaust chute buckled up there in the corner. However, I do have an exhaust fan, but I don't have any hose right here to be able to use with it. But we'll kind of get an idea of how that works here in a minute. There's a port right here on the side which makes it very, very easy to run your power cable and USB cable in. I could also run my air assist hose out of there if I would have desired to disconnect it and do it, but I'm just going to let it run underneath the cover for right now. As I mentioned, this particular laser is sitting on a board and has a spoil board underneath it, and it also has what they call a touch screen, and I can operate everything off the touch screen. It's also standalone. I can run it off of an SD card if I like. For right now though, I've got the USB cable connected. I've got a piece of scrap pine in here just to do a little demonstration engrave. And they also gave you this LED light bar you can mount inside, and I'm going to run the cable out the other side there. I'll have to go find a USB adapter. It's also got a switch on it so you can turn it on and off. And that can mount to this bar up here. And they give you this wrap. I kind of wish they would have given you two of them. Would have made it a little easier to mount this. Well, that'll hold that up there okay, I guess. I need to find me a USB adapter. Yeah, the light's kind of a nice touch. Lights things up in there a little bit. I don't know how much that camera will show that because it's pretty bright in here. I got studio lights on. But that'll light it up inside, let you see what's going on. Got a quick little graphic here I'm going to do. I'm going to frame this here first. And I'm just doing a line engrave. It's nothing really fancy. And I'm going to crank up the speed on it here so it doesn't take quite so long. So do this with the cover open first. Kind of see what's going on in there. As you can see, there's some refracted light around in there from the back. If this was glass, this would really be ideal for protecting yourself, because when you are engraving glass, even with the shield on there, there's a lot of reflected light that goes all over the place, and you definitely have to keep your goggles on while you're doing it. Okay, now I'll close the cover here. I'll move my work over a little bit. And I'll do that same engrave. We'll do it with the cover closed and you'll be able to see the difference. Well, you might not be able to see the difference. You may not be able to see it. So that closes the cover. And there again, orange is actually the proper color for a blue laser. If you are looking to buy goggles or glasses for a laser, they really should be orange, because that is the opposite of blue on a color chart. And if you don't believe me, talk to an optometrist. Okay, we'll do the same engrave again. So while you can still see what's going on in there, it's not near as bright. You don't see that refracted light quite as bit. I should say quite as much. Again, if you were engraving glass, and we do quite a few glass tiles, this is going to be ideal for that, because when I'm engraving glass, I have to keep my goggles on all the time. Okay, open the cover up there. It's the same engrave. Of course, it came out fine for what I was doing. Of course, there was a lot of smoke that was released because I do not have an exhaust port on here. That kind of gives you an idea there. Now, one of the things they kind of wanted me to do was what they call the torch test. And I hate to take a torch to a brand new cover, but I'm going to do it. The whole thing about this is it being fireproof. So, there goes nothing, I guess. Okay, so I made some smoke. Did not catch fire, did not combust. Messed up the finish on it a little bit, but if you had a fire, it would contain it. Okay, I wiped off all the residue and now it's on my hand, but it did not burn through. It did, of course, discolor this. It did no discoloration at all on the inside. So if you had something go awry and you had a fire inside, this would contain it. Of course, it's going to depend on what your base is. Depends on what you're going to have it sitting on. If you've got it sitting on a steel table, obviously this would contain everything and you wouldn't have a problem. There again, I never run my lasers unattended. I'm always around someplace close. So there's my take and demonstration of this Comgrow laser enclosure. As you can see, it's pretty good size. This is what they call size M. I know they have other sizes, and obviously I discolored the side of it, but I did not burn a hole in it, even with that torch. So yes, it would contain a accidental fire. There again, depends what your base is. If you've got it sitting on a wood surface, that wood surface will probably catch fire too. So again, I stress, don't leave your lasers unattended. Keep an eye on them. Either be right within the area or have cameras on them where you can monitor them all the time. Even when I'm engraving ceramic tile, which is obviously non-flammable, if that laser head should happen to get off of the tile and get onto the spoil board and stall for some unknown reason, and no, I've never had it happen, but anything's possible, that can start a fire. That's why I'm always close by and around these when they're running. Okay, this is lightweight, this is portable. You know, very easily pick this cover up, nothing to it. And you can take it apart if you need to store it away somewhere when you're not using your laser. So, you know, different than a rigid built enclosure, which I don't have any because, as I said, I generally use all mine out in open air down here in the shop. But with something like this, I could conceivably use it in one of my rooms up in the loft with that exhaust port. I do have a turbine fan for one of those ports because I was going to build an enclosure, just never got around to it. And I could vent that out a window or something like that, be able to use it upstairs. I have found out before, just trying to use a laser up in the loft, even if it's just like ceramic tile, it sets off all the smoke detectors. It makes a lot of noise. I don't like that. And I do not disable smoke detectors. They're there for a reason. So there's my review and demonstration of this Comgrow laser enclosure. Again, this is a size M. And again, they did provide this to me to test and demonstrate. I will put a link in the description of where you can get these. If we got anything out of this, appreciate getting a thumbs up. Always helps the channel. Roger in the shop. Comgrow laser enclosure. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.